Okay, Shannon, put us on the record. Ms. McCluskey?
Thank you, Your Honor. So my client and I did have a pretty lengthy conversation in February. I was unable to reach her before today, but I just, we were touching base again. It is her intent to release her rights to Rhythm. So we would just ask that the court set this out a week and she will be able to appear personally to proceed with that.
So, Mr. Way, remind me again what the proper order is when we have a release and a termination.
So the termination needs to occur before the release for the state to pick up the vast majority of the funding.
Could we go ahead and proceed with the termination as to the father only today? That way we'll sure that it's in the right order.
Yes, I'm comfortable with that, with the assurance that, Ms. Pariseau is gonna release. I don't like to do it if we're not positive, but if she's committed to that, I'm comfortable with it.
She was comfortable with that in February, but we were kind of hoping things would go differently. And has not changed her mind, so.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we can do a quick trial as to dad today, Your Honor.
Why don't we do that? That way we make sure we keep the right order. Ms. The court will take judicial notice of the file. Ms. Trevor, would you raise your right hand, please? You do swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
State your full name for the record. Spell your last.
Nicole Traver, Traver.
And forgive me for mispronouncing your name. Go ahead, Mr. Way.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Traver, you are the foster care worker for Rhythm Grayson, is that correct?
Yes.
And you filed the petition in this case? The
Yes.
supplemental petition?
Yes.
At the time you filed it, was everything true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Rhythm has been in care since about January of 2020. What was the reason that Rhythm was removed from his father?
Her father did not have appropriate housing or employment, and we had substance abuse concerns.
Okay, and if I recall correctly, prior to or after removal, but prior to the adjudication, Mr. Grayson voluntarily completed a couple drug screens and they were positive. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And what were the substances that he was positive for?
THC, cocaine, fentanyl, methamphetamine. Yeah.
Okay, so there was a disposition occurred, it looks like in May of 2020. What was Mr. Grayson ordered to do by the court at that time?
He was court ordered to participate with a substance abuse assessment and follow the recommendations, a psychological evaluation and follow the recommendations, complete a parenting class, supervised parenting time, and obtain employment and appropriate housing.
Did he participate in a substance abuse evaluation?
He did not.
Was he referred for one?
Yes.
What about his psychological evaluation? Did he complete that?
No.
Was he referred for with that?
Yes.
Was he referred for random drug screenings?
Yes.
And what, if anything, did he do with those random drug screens?
He did not drug screen once.
And so we're going on about 8 months of opportunities to drug screen, is that correct?
Yes.
Did he participate in a parenting class?
He did not.
Was he referred for one of those?
Yes.
When's the last time you had contact with Mr. Grayson?
I believe it was October 5th at a parenting time.
Have you attempted to make contact since then,
Yes, every month.
but you've just been unsuccessful?
Yes.
Has he participated in some parenting time?
He participated with 2 parenting times total since removal.
Okay. Did you observe the one in October then, I assume?
I was there prior to it to give him some paperwork. So no, I did not watch the.
Do you believe there's any bond at this point between Rhythm and her father?
I'm gonna say no.
And do you know whether Mr. Grayson is working or has appropriate housing?
He's never provided me with documentation of either, so I'm going to say no.
Do you believe that Mr. Grayson has rectified any of the reasons that brought Rhythm into care?
No.
Where is Rhythm currently placed?
She is with her paternal aunt.
Is her paternal aunt willing to adopt?
She is.
Do you believe that the paternal aunt will keep Rhythm safe from Mr. Grayson if he's not being an appropriate person for them to be around?
I do.
And so under the assumption that Ms. Pariseau is going to release her rights, do you have a recommendation as to what's in the best interest of Dakota as it relates, or of Rhythm, excuse me, as it relates to Mr. Grayson's parental rights?
I would recommend termination.
And why do you believe termination is in Rhythm's best interests?
She has no bond with her dad. She has seen him twice in her year that she's been alive. I have no documentation that he has housing, employment, transportation, which are 3 things you would definitely need to take care of a baby. I also have no documentation that he has participated with a substance abuse assessment, parenting classes, or any of the services that he was court ordered to do. So I am not under the impression that any of the concerns we had have been fixed.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Questions, Mr. Brown?
You're muted.
Sorry, Ivan, I muted you.
Can you hear me?
Can now, yep.
Ms. Traver, when you met with Mr. Grayson in October, how long was that meeting with him?
It was about 10 minutes before his parenting time.
Okay, that doesn't seem like much time since you were having trouble getting a hold of him. Did you lay out for him the consequences of him not engaging in any of these services?
Yeah, we spoke on the phone about a week or 2 before that parenting time. And I laid out all the services that he was asked to do, which was the paperwork I was giving to him that day was addresses, phone numbers, so he knew exactly where to go. And we did have the conversation about what happens when you don't participate with services. He was well aware that his time was limited as he has wasted all those months.
And what was his response? Did he give you any clue as to why he's sporadically been around?
He said he had just some personal stuff to take care of. He left it at that.
Did he ever indicate that he wanted to be a father and was going to start doing his services to you?
No. Well, he did say he wanted to do the services, but he never really made me feel like he wanted to be a part of Rhythm's life.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. Nothing further.
Questions, Mr. Kelly?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any further proofs, Mr. Way?
No, Your Honor.
Any other testimony to be offered by any party?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, do you wish to make an argument?
Just briefly,
Go ahead.
I would ask that if the court finds that there's a factual basis and a statutory basis to terminate, and it's in the best interest of Rhythm, that the court enter this as a conditional until mother matter is finalized. If the court were not to terminate against mother, typically we don't terminate it against another parent. If she doesn't follow through on that release, then she has a right to a trial, and we don't know the results of that trial. We can guess, but we don't know. So I would ask that the court not sign the order until that is completed. Thank you.
All right, and the challenge with that is if I take a release before I do a termination, the agency loses a significant funding source. I understand your concern, Mr. Brown. However, this is one of those situations where when I have a parent who's totally uninvolved, irrespective of what the other parent does, I would still be inclined to terminate that parent's parental rights.
And I understand that, and I'm not arguing with the court, but that could be done fairly contemporaneously. The paperwork could be in front of Ms. Pariseau. When she does that, the court could sign the termination just prior to her putting her signature on the release papers, and I think that would satisfy that the termination was done before the release. Thank you.
Okay, so the testimony here is clear and convincing. The father, who has previously been adjudicated, was ordered to participate in a number of services, including psych eval and follow recommendations, substance abuse assessment and follow recommendations, parenting classes, and show improvement as a result of that participation, obtain and maintain appropriate housing, obtain and maintain legal employment, and participate in random drug screens and participate in parenting time. The testimony establishes that this father did virtually nothing. He attended, I think it was 2 parenting time sessions. This child is now a little over a year old, and during the year and 2 months that he's been alive, his father has seen him twice. I think these facts clearly establish several bases for termination of his parental rights, including although being legally responsible for the care and maintenance of this child and being able to do so, has neglected or refused to provide proper or necessary care for the child, which has in turn subjected the child to a substantial risk of harm. His home environment appears that he doesn't even have a home, but by reason of his positive drug screens and problems with drugs and unwillingness to address those, is an unfit place for the child to live. And I'm sorry, I was looking at grounds for jurisdiction. He has been a respondent in a proceeding, 182 days or more have elapsed since the issuance of the initial dispositional order. Conditions that led to adjudication continue to exist. There's no reasonable likelihood that those conditions will be rectified in a reasonable period of time, given the child's age. There is a reasonable likelihood based on his conduct or capacity that the child would be harmed if returned to his home. I also find that termination is in Rhythm's best interest. This child is deserving of permanency. There's simply no reasonable likelihood within any reasonable period of time that this father is going to be able to provide Rhythm with the permanency that he needs. Rhythm has no bond. He couldn't possibly have a bond with a parent that he saw twice. The father has shown no parenting ability and no willingness to address his ability to parent. The fact that the child is placed with a relative, although sometimes would militate against termination, in a case where the father has simply been totally absent from the child's life, and we have a relative who's willing and able to provide for the child, and is unlikely to ever involve the father in the child's life. And we have a father who doesn't seem to want to be involved in the child's life. So for those reasons, I find the termination is in Rhythm's best interest. We will hold off on, well, let's see. We can go ahead and, well, let's see. We don't normally schedule a post-term until we have no parents. So assuming mom proceeds with her release, or if not, I will proceed with a termination hearing as to her. And if she's not ready to do the release in a week or changes her mind, we are going to proceed with a trial so that we can free this child for adoption. So I will tell you in a week when our post-term hearing will be.
So you just want me to set that? How about March 23rd at
Set it in the afternoon. What else do we have that afternoon?
the Campbell pretrial and disposition and the Blue bench trial.
And how does the morning look?
We've got a bunch of pretrials and then we've got a 10:30 termination on the Neil child.
That's a 5-minute trial.
So then let's just do it March 23rd at 10:45.
March 23rd, 10:45.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
I'll
Wade,
let you know
Okay,
as soon as I get a hold of him.
can I just get the
Ms.
remaining
Perry's-
paperwork? Sorry.
Yep,
Go ahead.
I'll send it to you.
That way I can go over it with her first. So, okay. Thank you.
Ms. Perizzo, that concludes our hearing today. We'll see you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm going to bring everyone else in now. Okay, this is the matter of David Russell and Rain Rochefort. Let's see, we've got Mr. Wade for the petitioner, Ms. Lindsay Cooling on behalf of the agency. Ms. McCluskey is LGAL, Mr. Hotchkiss represents the mother. Mr. Kelly represents the father, and it appears that both the mother and the father are present. Ma'am, can you hear me? Ms.
Sorry.
Webb, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Okay, and Mr. Russell, can
Yes,
you hear
sir.
me? Okay,
Is that Mike's attorney?
Uh,
Mr. Russell? or
I
Mr.
believe you represent Mr. Russell, correct, Mike?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and I don't think the other father has ever appeared, has he?
No, Your Honor.
The
Okay,
other father's putative.
oh, I see.
One's at Miss Bates.
He's never appeared and tried to establish his paternity, correct?
Yeah, I believe he does not want to establish a paternity is where we landed on that one.
Okay, he was certainly given every opportunity to do that. Is there anything preliminary? Obviously, the court will take judicial notice of its file. Anything else?
Your Honor, Mr. Way advised me that through communications with the agency that my client may be interested in releasing his parental rights. I haven't been able to talk with him directly about that. I've called and left him voicemails, but we haven't been able to connect. I'm wondering if the court could provide an opportunity for me and him to go into a breakout room to discuss that, unless he's advising me different on the record now that he is not interested.
I'll speak with you for a moment on the matter if you would like. Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, if you could put us in a breakout room.
All right, and before I do that, Mr. Hotchkiss, did you want an opportunity to speak to your client?
Your Honor, I had an opportunity to speak with her just a few minutes ago. If she has other things she would like to speak to me about, I'm happy to meet with her some more.
Ms. Webb, did you want further opportunity to speak privately with your attorney?
It might be helpful to go over some more things with him.
All right, I'll give you both that opportunity. I've got to all right, so let me do this now. Just follow the instructions on your screen, folks, and you'll be able to have that private meeting with your attorneys.